was primarily focused at the implementation of the National Roads Program and to create an environment that is conducive to the efficient and effective management of national roads network and other services provided by the authority. 2.1, policy and principles of the bill. The policy behind the bill is to give effect to the government policy for rationalization of government agencies and public expenditure, RAPEX, which was adopted by Cabinet on 22nd February 2021. 3.0, object of the bill. The main object of the bill is to give effect to the government policy for rationalization of government agencies and public expenditure adopted by Cabinet on 22nd February 2021 and contained in a Cabinet Minute number 43, CT 2021. 2, without prejudice the general effect of subsection 1, the following objectives shall be deemed to fall under the objective specified in that subsection. The merging, mainstreaming, and rationalization of agencies, commissions, authorities, and public expenditure, thereby entire relieving the government of the financial drain on its resources and the burden of wasteful administration and expenditure. B, the facilitation of efficient and effective service delivery by clearly delineating the mandates and functions of the government agencies and departments and thereby avoiding duplication of mandates and functions. C, the promotion of coordinated administrative arrangements, policies, and procedures for ensuring the efficient and successful management, financial accounting, and budgetary discipline of government agencies and departments. Enabling the government to play its proper role more effectively, and enforcing accountability and the restructuring and reorganization of agencies and departments of government by eliminating bloated structures and functional ambiguities in government agencies and departments. 3.1, purpose of repeal. The purpose of repealing the Uganda National Road Authority Act 2006, Act 15 of 2006 is to enable the mainstreaming of the functions of Uganda National Road Authority in 2 ministries responsible for roads. Methodology. The committee reviewed existing reports, legislations, and other relevant documents. The committee held meetings and received submissions from the following: the Minister of Works Transport, together with Uganda Road Fund and Uganda Road Authority, Uganda National Road Authority, the Minister of Public Service, the Office of Attorney General, the Uganda National Association of Builders, Suppliers, and Engineers, Contractors, UNABSIC. 5.0, specific observations and recommendations. 5.1, mandate overlaps between UNRA and the Ministry of Works Transport. According to UNRA Act 2006, under Section 6, UNRA is responsible for management, development, and maintenance of national roads and advise government on policy matters concerning roads and assist in the coordination and implementation of the policy relating to roads. The committee observed that the roles for development and maintenance of national roads are fully assigned and being executed by UNRA in accordance with UNRA Act 2006, which signs a performance agreement with the Ministry of Works Transport on an annual basis. All the tasks executed by UNRA are limited to the mandate for the management, development, and maintenance of national road network. The committee did not observe any mandate overlap or duplication on services, given that the role of the ministry is limited to policy formulation, regulation, setting of standards, monitoring, and evaluation. 5.2, purpose of creation of UNRA. Purpose for the creation of UNRA. The committee noted that one of the objectives of the bill is to facilitate the efficient and effective service delivery by clearly delineating the mandates and functions of government agencies and departments, and thereby avoiding duplication of mandates and functions. The committee established that UNRA was created arising out of the need for 1, adoption of sound business practices and managerial accountability through effective use of systems and procedures in management of national road network. B, focused, efficient, and effective delivery of national road services that was not possible at the ministry due to the lack of specificity or focus arising from the huge mandate i.e. multiplicity of functions at the ministry. C, enhanced financial contract management and data management system to efficiently manage high-value and complex projects and plan and prioritize investments in the national road investment. The committee noted that above aspirations are still very relevant and necessary as evidenced by the work executed by UNRA. UNRA has built the national road network to the current net worth of United States $5.4 billion. Based on the value of the national road network it is managing, this is a huge portfolio that requires specialized and efficient management to avoid the country incurring major losses. Since inception, UNRA has fulfilled its mandate as follows. For the last 15 years, UNRA has constructed 3,686 kilometers of the new paved national roads, representing an average of 230 kilometers per year. This is compared to 2,800 kilometers of paved roads that were constructed over a period of 50 years from the 1950s up to the time UNRA was created in 2008. To date, the total kilometers of paved roads managed by UNRA stands at 6,486 kilometers. And we got this from the annual performance transport sector review of 2003. For the last 15 years, UNRA has constructed 1,820 kilometers of national roads to restore their value and serviceability, which together with above results in an average of 370 kilometers of new reconstructed paved roads per year for 15 years, UNRA has been in operation. The same source. UNRA currently operates 12 ferries from the original 3 ferries distributed across the country, which have tremendously improved the lives of people living on islands and across water bodies. Introduced alternative financing mechanisms such as public-private partnership, tolling, contract-facilitated financing, contractor pre-financing, and increased finance support from government partners. The committee also observed that whereas a number of roads have been upgraded by UNRA to the extent that the country is accessible border to border, the country has embarked and still requires
Honourable members, allow the member to
the
read.
country has embarked and still requires to undertake major national road projects such as tolled expressways and managing toll operations, during of major road corridors, flyovers, and long-span bridges such as the Nile Bridge. On top of the need for efficient operation and maintenance of the network, these undertakings all require more specialist skills and efficient management than even what UNRA has currently, and should rather be enhanced instead of being mainstreamed. The relevance of UNRA is expected even to be more pertinent moving forward when more of these planned complex projects under public-private partnership, toll roads such as the Kampala-Mpigi, Kampala-Jinja, Kampala-Thousand Bypass, Kampala-Bombo Express Highway, and output performances-based contracts, and long-span cable-stayed bridges are to be implemented. The committee further observed that a number of projects under UNRA are financed by loans whose agreements between the government and the creditors specify that UNRA is the implementing agency. A change in implementing agency will require a renegotiation whose outcome and duration is unpredictable. The committee is therefore concerned that government is likely to suffer a setback of delayed project implementation and completion of such important and strategic road infrastructure because of shocks that come with the rationalization process. Further, aware of the challenges that may currently be existing at UNRA, such as bloated structure.
Honourable members.
Further aware of the challenges that may currently be existing at UNRA, such as bloated structure, inadequate stakeholder management, as well as other governance challenges, the committee notes that UNRA has served the purpose of its creation and it is still relevant given the importance attached to the development of the national road network. Burden of wasteful expenditure, 5.3. Objective 2, Clause 2A of UNRA Act Repeal Bill 2024 is to the effect that the mainstreaming and rationalization of UNRA is aimed at relieving the government of finance drain on its resource and the burden of wasteful expenditure. The committee noted that much as UNRA is not entirely a revenue-generating entity, it is currently collecting toll revenue of 3.7 billion per month from Kampala Entebbe Express, which is deposited into the consolidated fund after operational and maintenance costs have been catered for. The committee noted in 2022 and 2023, UNRA collected a total of 75 billion. This revenue is projected to increase upon completion of Segampigi and Kampala Jinja Express, among others. The committee was informed that according to the Expressway Master Plan, the following 8 priority toll roads are expected to be constructed. Those you can read through. The committee therefore recommends that UNRA be maintained as a semi-autonomous entity due to the fact that Objective 2.2a of the UNRA Act Repeal 2024 does not apply to its citing UNRA's contribution to revenue generation. 5.4, technical assistance and support offered by UNRA. The committee was informed that due to the high technical capabilities UNRA has developed over the years, the authority has offered technical assistance and support to other government ministries and departments, including the following. A, construction of Kampala flyover project. This project is located within Kampala road network and should have been ordinarily been undertaken by KCCA. But this was not possible due to inadequate technical capacity. UNRA took up the complex project due to its high specialized staff and was completed phase 1 and has completed phase 1 and moving to phase 2 covering Kitugum Junction. 2, Isimba Bridge. The committee was informed the construction of this bridge started under Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development as part of the Isimba Dam project. Due to inadequate technical capacity at the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, UNRA was called upon to provide for technical support and supervise the bridge construction works. The works were completed successfully and the bridge is now in use. 3, Saka Bridge. The construction works for Saka Bridge were initially done by Ministry of Works and Transport, but the works done were washed away by floods. UNRA was called upon to take up the project and completed it successfully. Technical support to UPDF. Cognizant of the fact that UPDF is currently conducting Operation Suja inside DRC to fight against ADF rebels, and at some point UPDF was facing a challenge of crossing Semuriki River, UNRA offered technical support by assembling 2 ferries, one connecting Ntoroko, DRC, and the other located at the Karuruma inside DRC. The technical support included training of UPDF personnel in fair operations and maintenance. 5, technical assistance to Ministry of Agriculture. You can also read that. The institutions that UNRA has been rendering support to. In light of the above, the committee observed that UNRA has become a shock absorber for the road infrastructure sector, and mainstreaming it may expose the sector to high risk that may result in financial losses in medium and long term. Right Honourable Speaker, protect me from the Commissioner. Commissioner Foyochan. The committee therefore recommends that UNRA should be tasked to enhance in-house. The committee therefore recommends that UNRA should be tasked to enhance in-house technical capacity in order to save the country the huge costs associated with contract management. Agency model for road sector. The committee noted that world over, development and maintenance of the national road backbone infrastructure is through semi-autonomous entities. For instance, all member states of East Africa Community have adopted a semi-autonomous road agency authority affiliated to the respective ministries of works, infrastructure as shown in the table below. In Kenya, it is called Kenya National Highway Authority. In Tanzania, it is called Tanzania National Roads Agency. In Rwanda, it is called Rwanda Transport Development Agency. In South Sudan, it is called South Sudan Roads Agency. In Ethiopia, it is called Ethiopia Roads Authority. And you can look through. While government is striving to establish a seamless integration system in East Africa, like in single currency, promotion of Swahili, East African passport, among others, it would be inappropriate for the country to depart from the norm of good practices when it comes to road infrastructure development. The committee further examined the practice in other parts of the world and established that a similar semi-autonomous institutional model has been adopted for road management as shown. We looked at India, Israel, United Kingdom, South Korea, South Africa, Namibia, Malaysia, Singapore, and they all have agency model management of roads. In light of the above, and given the drive for East Africa integration, the committee observed that it would not be beneficial for Uganda to adopt a different model to what has been considered feasible by many countries with even a better developed road network. 5.6, pay disparities. The committee was informed that the objective of rationalization of UNRA is to relieve the government of the financial drain on its resources and the burden of wasteful administration and expenditure. The committee was further informed that there are glaring pay disparities between the agencies and traditional civil servant pay levels, leading to demotivation of staff. The committee noted the glaring pay disparities between agencies and the traditional civil service are almost threefold. The committee therefore noted that in Section 14(2)(c) of the UNRA Act 2006, the Board of Directors is mandated to, among others, to review and approve budgets of the authority. The mandate gives the authority power to determine its own emoluments. The committee observed in Section 14 that in Section 14(3) of UNRA Act 2006, Honorable colleagues, this answers some of the issues that were being put forward by the Honorable Minister. So you may need to pick interest. The committee observed that in Section 14(3) of the UNRA Act 2006, the board is in performance of its functions responsible to the minister responsible for roads. The main issue here is that it is true that the board determines the salaries, but this board is appointed by the minister, and he can accordingly guide it. The committee notes that one of the objectives of creation of authority with attractive remuneration was because the ministry had failed to attract highly skilled staff due to low salaries. The same ministry cannot at this point be indicating that attractive remuneration offered by UNRA is a problem. Because at the point of creation of UNRA, this was the argument. Furthermore, the issue of salary disparity is not only limited to UNRA. It cuts across entire public service. The committee therefore recommends that the minister responsible for public service should institute a salary review board to study and harmonize salaries of all public servants in different categories of service. The harmonization should take in consideration the need for efficiency and service delivery. 5.7, burden of costs of administration. The committee was informed that one of the objectives of merger was to save on administration costs. This is largely to be achieved through reduction of staff salaries. The committee was further informed that in order to minimize staff redundancies following the repeal of UNRA Act 2006, all technical staff will be absorbed in the ministry as long as they express interest in joining the mainstream government on pertaining terms and conditions of service, while other cadres like lawyers, surveyors, Common cadre staff may be submitted to line ministries for consideration of any vacant positions. The committee observed that according to clause 6.3 of UNRA Repeal Bill 2024, the staff of UNRA may be deployed to serve in public service subject to the availability of positions. This implies that there is no guarantee of employment following the repeal of UNRA Act 2006. The committee further observed in the certificate of financial implication, Uganda shillings 11,562 had been mentioned as terminal benefits for UNRA staff. Yet from the interactions, it became apparent that UNRA would require 227.27 billion as severance package for staff. This is a huge cost which would erode the state savings from the merger. It is also inappropriate to incur this unjustified cost amid such accumulated contract debts that have not been paid at UNRA. The committee, therefore,
Honorable Vuru, first move away from there.
the committee therefore recommends that instead of repealing the UNRA Act 2006, the Ministry of Works and Transport.
You sit in that box there. There's a box there. Sit there.
The Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, the committee therefore recommends that instead of repealing the UNRA Act 2006, the Ministry of Works and Transport should consider the option of restructuring the authority to streamline its management and create a lean structure that principally takes into the account core business of the agency, which is the management, development, maintenance, and protection of the national road infrastructure. This will also help to achieve government rationalization objectives of reducing administrative costs. The Honourable Minister of Works and Transport is fully empowered to have this recommendation implemented under Section 7 of UNRA Act 2006. The restructured agency should be as lean as possible with a competitive remuneration to attract and retain high-quality professionals of the right caliber to deliver the authority's mandate. 5.8, management of the merger process. Transition arrangements. The committee observed that in spite of the fact that government took a decision in 2021 to merge, mainstream and rationalize government agencies, commissions, authorities, and public expenditure in order to facilitate efficient, effective service delivery. At the time of the committee's engagement with the ministry, there was no available business continuity plan to manage the transition period. The committee was informed that the ministry has appointed the business continuity team to develop a business continuity plan to manage the transition period in terms of handing over and taking over office, managing the ongoing projects and contracts so that there is no disruption in service delivery. From the huge workload and complexity of UNRA portfolio, together with associated risks, in order to better manage this huge and increased portfolio, the committee recommends that the ministry responsible for roads carries out a benchmarking in other road authorities in the region with a view of borrowing best practices that could be implemented to further improve the operations and management of UNRA. 5.9, commercialization of road management. The committee observed that the formation of UNRA was aimed at commercialization and management to ensure roads are managed as a business. The proposed merger of UNRA would have to deliver much more to escape what is viewed as step back to the premillennial approach to road management, which was deemed to erode value for money. The committee was further informed that the private sector have no reassurance that rationalization of UNRA will be a better option compared to the prevailing status quo. The committee noted that within reach is to improve an already existing road agency to operate commercially and responsively under the supervision and regulation of stricter policy regime instituted by Ministry of Works. Section 5.3 of the UNRA Act 2006 provides that the authority shall be under general supervision of the minister responsible for roads. Further, Section 7 of the UNRA Act provides for powers of the minister. In particular, subsection 1 gives the minister powers to give directions in writing to the authority with respect to the policy to be observed and implemented by authority, and the authority shall comply with those directions. The committee therefore recommends that the Ministry of Works and Transport should formulate a comprehensive framework for effective supervision of UNRA in line with the UNRA Act to ensure its management is accountable to the ministry concerning policy, legislation, standards, strategic plans, and operations. This will require a very practical and interactive regime for setting performance targets and monitoring and evaluating UNRA's performance. 5.10. Exaggerated savings in the Certificate of Financial Implication. The committee observed that Uganda National Roads Authority Act Repeal 2024 was accompanied by a Certificate of Financial Implication which complies with the requirements of Section 76 of the PFMA 2015 in regard to indicating the estimates of revenue and expenditure over the period of not less than 2 years after coming into effect of the bill when passed, and the impact of the bill on the economy. However, the certificate has inaccurate information in regard to estimates of both savings and costs. The expected annual saving of the proposed merger as reflected in the Certificate of Financial Implication are Uganda shillings 103 billion. However, these do not take into consideration the proposed staff to be recruited under the Ministry of Works and Transport. Information from the Honourable Minister of Works and Transport indicated that the expected net savings from the wage bill through merger of both UNRA and Road Fund under the ministry is 39.63 billion, lower than the 75 billion indicated as the wage saving under UNRA alone as per the certificate, which is entire wage bill of UNRA in the proposed budget for 2024-2025. In addition, the computations of costs, terminal benefits in the Certificate of Financial Implication are misleading, reflecting net savings in the first year as Uganda shillings 11.562 billion, lower than the required amount of Uganda shillings 227.244 billion presented by Honourable Minister of Works, Transport, Honourable Minister of Works and Transport, by Uganda shillings 215.682 billion. Consequently, in the first year, the bill increased expenditure pressures on the resource envelope by 120.612 billion and not result in net saving as indicated in the Certificate of Financial Implication. The committee therefore recommends that Ministry of Finance Planning and Economic Development should ensure that the realistic estimates are provided in the Certificate of Financial Implication to guide legislative decisions. 6.0. General observations and recommendations. Increase of national road network. The committee was informed that the national road network demands have increased to the extent that UNRA is now managing over 21,000 kilometers of national roads, including express highways and associated tolling operations that require specialist skills. Streamlined management and quick and timely decision making. In addition, the Road Sector Development Program for financial year 2010 was estimated at USD, United States dollars 230 million per financial year at the time UNRA was operationalized in July 2006. Compared to the current annual work plans of UNRA, whose cost estimate is about United States dollars 1 billion per financial year. The increased number of kilometers of road network is not a moment to scale back on good management. In fact, this requires even better management to ensure the funds invested in upgrading the network are not lost through poor and untimely life cycle maintenance interventions. The committee notes the increased number of kilometers of road network being managed by UNRA. The committee further noted that the inadequate funding to UNRA is affecting its deliverables and therefore recommends that UNRA is adequately supported, both financially and supervisory, in order for it to be able to execute its mandate for which it was created. The committee further recommends that UNRA should be empowered and supported to harness the tolling business through development of more toll roads and other revenue-generating avenues, currently standing at 40 billion per year from one operational toll road. This will help the agency to initially start financing some of its operational costs and with time depend on less and less resources from National Treasury for operational costs. The enhancement of this revenue-generating measure will also enable UNRA to eventually reach revenue surplus level that can be invested in the development and maintenance of national road network. National road network asset value. The current asset value of national road network stands at United States dollars 5.4 billion. The investment in the national roads presents the biggest financial investment in the country. Entire infrastructure and probably amongst the single largest financial investments. Effective management of this asset requires UNRA to have a wide pool of skilled human resource and to turn an effective financial management system with commercial style accounting. This is pivotal to enhancing its performance in management and delivery of improved and cost-effective services and value for money using the private sector. These measures are extremely important for the case of national roads, given the sums of money involved and the varied and complex nature of financial transactions. Public service structures like that existing in Ministry of Works Transport are typically linear, emphasizing hierarchical and centralized accounting. This limits the amount of financial turnover that can be pushed up and down without clogging such a system. To avoid performance and absorption challenges, a flat and less layered structure performs more in a business linear manner. The committee further noted that UNRA portfolio has grown to over 2 trillion per year, which may not be well handled within the current confines of Ministry of Works and Transport, and would therefore require major restructuring of the ministry to create capacity to handle this workload. Having a single accounting officer, Honorable Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, this is equally important. Having a single accounting officer, at
Honorable Buzaya. That one know has the tarmac up to his compound. No, you don't disorganize the house. What we are saying, don't disorganize the house. Leave the chair to finish reading.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Having a single accounting officer at Ministry of Works Transport, handling the demands of national roads, as well as overseeing Civil Aviation Authority, Uganda Airlines, Uganda Railways Corporation, Standard Gauge Railway, urban roads, district and community access roads, water transport, and public building works would negatively impact on the operational efficiency due to overwhelming workload. The committee was informed that Public Service and Ministry of Works Transport have proposed a structure envisaged to accommodate the enhanced mandate. However, the compromise of reverting to a single entity to be responsible for policy formulation, regulation, and implementation of a very critical infrastructure like national roads is a risky gamble when compared to a more pragmatic alternative of reforming UNRA to further improve its efficiency. The committee noted that UNRA has delivered the objectives of the reforms that led to its formation. These are commercialization, improved condition of road network, improved financing, efficient management of national roads, and introduction of stable financing user charges. The sector therefore should rather be consolidating these gains and making further improvements rather than halting the current momentum and restarting afresh. In conclusion, Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, the role of UNRA in management, development, and maintenance of national roads infrastructure is critical to performance of the works and transport sector and the country's development aspiration in light of Uganda's being a transit and a landlocked country. Mainstreaming UNRA into Ministry of Works Transport will lead to the same challenges experienced in the past that led to the same ministry to spearhead the formation of UNRA and would necessitate future reforms to recreate UNRA. For this reason, it is recommended that government should retain UNRA as a semi-autonomous road agency. Right Honourable Speaker, members, I beg to move that Uganda National Road Authority Act Repeal Bill 2024 be rejected in its totality. Thank you.
I have not put a question. You have a, who was a minority? The ones who are saying I are the ones standing. Honourable members, you've heard the report. You've heard the report.
Madam Speaker, on your right there is a clock, and we have a very good commissioner, Honorable Foyochan. Please, she might go and fix that clock because it's not working. It is misleading, and that is our welfare.
But after the break.
Report of the Committee of the Whole House.
Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the bill entitled the Physical Planning Amendment Bill 2024 and passed it with amendments.
Motion for adoption of the report of the Committee of the Whole House.
Honourable Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to move that the report from the Committee of the Whole House be adopted.
I put a question that the report of the Committee of the Whole House be adopted by this House. Those in favour say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Bill's third reading, the National Physical Planning Amendment Bill 2024.
Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to move.
Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to move that the bill entitled the Physical Planning Amendment Bill 2024 be read the third time and do pass.
I put a question that the National Fiscal Planning Amendment Bill 2024 be read the third time and do pass. Those in favor say aye and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
A bill for an act titled the National Physical Planning Amendment Act 2024.
The title is settled and the bill has been passed. But just as an emphasis, we must have regulations. You people just don't pass these bills and you don't come with the regulations. Yes? UNRA.
Right Honorable Speaker, thank you. I just wanted the records to capture my participation correctly. You have been referring to me as justice. And many people outside there have been contacting me when you refer to me as justice. So the relatives of people who are in jail, who are not being produced, those ones who are before court-martial, those ones who are being tortured, now they are calling me and say, Justice, you help us. Help us. So I want the record to capture that. I'm just the shadow minister for justice and constitutional affairs.
You're shadow minister for justice.
And I'm not responsible for those who are incarcerated. It is the NRM who has done that. So thank you.
No, we shall have them out if they are there. We'll have them out.
Madam
Honorable
Chair, Madam
members.
Speaker, if you could just allow me emphasize this. This Parliament passed a resolution that the minister and then responsible for physical planning issues must bring a report to this House on how local governments are complying with the law. And up to now, that report is nowhere. So at this point, I implore you to call on the people who are going to be responsible that we need that report. Otherwise, under the law, we are supposed to sanction the local governments for not complying. And we will need
thank you so much, my brother and Right Honorable Speaker, for giving way. Brother, Terego, you know, is the last created district in Uganda. And we couldn't proceed with anything until we got somebody from the ministry to go and see how the planning of the district was done. Therefore, there is no district that can proceed with construction or anything unless you get permission or you get planning, people to do your planning. If Maracha didn't do this, it's a mess, and definitely maybe they will have to grade down your houses. So I want to say that the minister has not slept on job, at least in Terego. They have been there. Thank you.
I thought there is fiscal planning in every district.
I think she didn't get me right. Madam, now I see why you usually emphasize we listen. Because I used to take it for granted that listening is a critical aspect.
Now you appreciate my concern.
Yeah, I'm appreciating your concern. When we listen properly, we're able to provide useful information. My point is that under the law, the ministers are supposed to bring us a report on the various activities in the various districts to show that there is compliance with the law. That means if Terego was complying, we would have that report here. If Marach is complying, we would have it here. Kampala, everybody, it would be the basis for us to conclude that the law is being put to use, and at that point we would assess our relevance. So my sister Rose, we welcome the fact that Terego is complying, but we must recognize that there is no report brought here in relation to compliance by the local governments, and that is very, very important for Parliament to check.
Honorable members, we are discussing what has passed. And we've had the report of UNRA. We've had a report of UNRA. And you also had a justification of the minister. You had a justification of the minister, and you're free to ask. I am now opening the debate. I want to start with the faith. Strictly 1 minute. 1 minute. You have already spent a quarter.
Madam Speaker, I have had both reports, and the statement of the Speaker and the one of the Chair of the Committee.
The one of the Speaker?
The one of the Minister and the one of the Committee. I only wish to ask a few questions for clarity from the report of the Committee. On the issue of technical capacity, does the Committee wish to state that the technical capacity in UNRA does not exist in the ministry? On the issue, so that we can be worried that if works are transferred to the ministry, they will not be achieved. Secondly, on the issue of salary disparities, yes, the committee recommended salary review.
Not the committee, this house recommended that we should have a salary review commission, which has never taken place. And that's why you find Faith is earning more than me. Okay.
Madam Speaker, the Committee of Infrastructure is in charge of the entire infrastructure, including the staff, the experts in the Ministry of Works. Does the committee also consider that those experts in the Ministry of Works deserve equal treatment? On the issue of procurement, a function that UNRA does excellently, does the ministry lack capacity to do that procurement that UNRA is doing currently? Those should be answered, and I will be comfortable with what they do.
Thank you. Tembo, Mujungu, it's not an order. You just raise your issue. Justice.
Right Honourable Speaker, I am surprised that Honourable Faith is saying the committee is in charge of the staff in UNRA. Yes, the committee reserves the oversight function, but from her presentation, she seems to imply that it is our supervisory role, the committee's supervisory role, to assess the capacity and therefore be able to say, okay, UNRA should stay or not stay. I wanted to inform her that innuendo in her speech is putting the committee in
Honorable members, as members of parliament, our role is to do oversight. When we do oversight, we do not determine whether you get more money or not. We don't determine the salaries, no. Refer to the act. You made an act of that institution. First of all, what you needed to know, to ask yourself, why did you make an act for that institution? Has it achieved what you wanted to achieve? What are the loopholes? Why hasn't it done so? And how can it be corrected? That is different from RARE. RARE was different. No, Nathan Byanyima. Byanyima Nathan.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
He's a senior legislator. Let's have respect.
I am sorry,
Honorable members, if you're young like Goretti, accept. You wait, listen to the senior.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. UNRA did not come to Uganda by accident. The government took a lot of time. We had to experiment with Uganda Road Formation Unit, ROF, which worked like an experiment to see whether we would be able to improve if we had an agency. ROF worked very well, and all of us were against it, against these reforms. But we went and benchmarked all over Africa with one of his engineers, engineer in chief, Engineer Bagonza. We went and we were convinced that we should come out of the big empire of Ministry of Works, which was presiding over Uganda Airlines, Uganda Railways, public buildings, communication, and we established UNRA. And we have a number of CEOs from Africa.
Switch on.
We wanted to have a lean institution with professionals, people who are professional to do the work. And indeed, from the assessment I can make, UNRA has done a commendable job. A commendable job because I can't see a minister talking of that you are not pretending over them. In the National Roads Act, Clause 7 gives the minister mandate.
Honorable Minister, listen so that you respond.
Supervise. So I feel like we are trying to rush so fast to go to Minister of Works.
I am the one.
Whose efficiency?
Just hold on. Let me put my hand to order first. I am the one who gave the people who created an act. Those are the people who created an act of UNRA. Those are the people who went benchmarking. Those are people who know UNRA more than you do. You are just a kid of yesterday. No, it's not conflicted. You need information. You cannot debate before you get information. You get the information. Just cool down. Cool down. You give my auntie information.
Okay, so, Right Honorable Speaker, we had to benchmark. And before the act, we had 10 CEOs from different countries in Africa to have a good law, which was passed here in 2006. And we had no tarmac roads in Uganda. It is UNRA that has initiated to come from almost 1,000 kilometers to almost 7,000 kilometers. The only issue has been lack of funding. Money. Even the Honorable Minister, he knows it very well. Even if he takes it there to the Minister of Works, the moment there is no money, we would not. So we thought that we would have a bit of time. This would be the time
Honorable members, to
review Minister Road Agents and UNRA to see especially the staff and have a lean staff, downsize it, and the minister taking interest in UNRA and be in charge. You have a big empire. I would want this house to give him express permission and money to work on the railway. It's too much work on the railway. Rather than now running to get UNRA into the Ministry of Works, and we have a breakdown. You can see now on the road, Masaka Road, the work UNRA's people are there. By the end of the day, people will have to pass. It is possible. You can see. But if it was Minister of Works, even himself, having an accounting officer presiding over a big empire will not have the best of it. In the circumstances, we are not saints in this world, in this country. Let's give a credit where it is due. UNRA has done a commendable job. But of course, there are some shortcomings that must be there. But taking it now at the moment, it is disastrous.
Thank you. Oli. Lee. August Lee.
Madam Speaker, I have listened to the minister submit, and I also listened to the report of the committee. I'm going to,
Honorable Naboth,
I'm going to,
you will speak after.
I'm going to submit from the experience of RARE, for those who do not know. When RARE as an agent went, I'm sure many of you have the experience that the poles which were left in your villages have remained the way they were. And yet there is a Ministry of Energy which should have provided answers, and that answer is nowhere. Based on that experience, I've been asking myself, on behalf of the people of West Nile, Madam Speaker, that in the next few weeks, we are going to have a road project launched from Koboko to Moyo for construction of a road under a grant from World Bank. It is very important for the minister to clarify how such a project will be implemented if UNRA is removed now, which is a decision we are about to make if we are not careful. So what does this mean? It means there is a risk of this grant not being properly utilized if the decisions are not justified properly. Secondly, Madam Speaker, the law as it is gives the minister a lot of powers. The minister can choose to actually veto all the things the board does if he only amended those laws. Give to okay, let me.
Thank you, Honorable Nguzili, and thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. The information I wanted to give my brother here is very simple. And it's the effect that you can see there is a huge collision path between the ministry and UNRA, and very many boards. And this happened when we were interrogating the Ministry of Energy over licensing. And you remember when we broke the impasse of who licenses between the commission and the minister. And we said we should leave some executive powers with politicians and leaders because of the strategic nature of policies. Now the ministry is well streamlined to that effect in the mining sector. Now what happens here is, of course, we must realize that at least there are some executive decisions that are not at times by technical officers. And the information I would like to give to my brother is that the minister has all the powers to present an amendment here, if he so wishes, to put the board in alignment so that he has veto powers provided, for example, over remuneration, over performance in contracts, etc., so that we use the appraisal method in performance contracts of these technical officers so that the minister can hold a whip and exercise his executive powers where need be. And if that is what we are to streamline, please, we advise you to present such an amendment, and you will see the unanimous support that you will get from this House that empowers the minister to hold a whip over an agency. Rather than winding up the agency, let's have empowerment of the minister to have the whip over the agency, and we have harmony. That's the info.
So in concluding, it is very clear the minister has not done certain things which would have made you more powerful. And I see many members here complain that even your roads are not worked on. The role of gazetting roads so that they become national roads is for the minister. So we must realize that there are so many things the ministry has not done that they want to blame on UNRA, and I think we need to guide the minister properly in the light of all these things. I thank you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want also
Naboth Den Loe Gorania Xavier.
I want also to thank the chairperson for the report he has given. Honorable Minister, it should be at this moment, we are appreciating the work that is being done by UNRA. In your own submission, you stated that you have salary disparities. Honorable Minister and honorable members, it's very true that in works we need technocrats. We need technology. And honorable Minister, if you are agitating that we bring all the workers from UNRA and we bundle them into the Ministry of Works, and you give them the peanuts the ministry is paying some technocrats, small salaries. Therefore, we are likely to lose technocrats and the technical people from the Ministry of Works. Therefore, I would urge members, honorable colleagues, that we let UNRA stay because it is handling critical work. It is stated here that if it was UNRA, for us who come from Western Uganda, we would be cut off completely. Honorable Minister, we want to say that if you are not convinced that UNRA is doing work, we implore you to join UNRA, or you ask for ministry to be rationalized to go and join UNRA because it is doing work. Right, Honorable Speaker, the Minister is sandwiching my submission.
Honorable members, Honorable Nsereko brought in a very good suggestion. And that's why I tell you to listen. You don't listen. It was a very good suggestion. Honorable members, when you look at everybody's face is here for UNRA. Hey, you want to put up your hands? You put up and I see. Anyway, honorable members, to avoid wastage of time, we've agreed. Honorable Minister. No, he's not withdrawing. We've agreed. Honorable members, first listen.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank Honorable Nsereko for the wonderful suggestion and proposal. And I want to request Parliament to allow me and work along those lines and come back and bring amendments on the floor.
So, meanwhile, no, what the minister is saying, it's okay. it is okay. We can put a question. UNRA will remain as it is. But you will bring an amendment. Okay? Eh? Meaning, honorable members, meaning if I put the question now, your nays have it. It collapses. Okay. You understand? But the minister is also requesting that when he brings in an amendment, we should be able to support. Because listen, it's very illogical, honorable members. It is very illogical for somebody in one institution to earn 50 million, 60, when Honorable Lee here, who is representing a whole constituency, is only earning 6 million. You get it, eh? From the same government. So I therefore, honorable members, having had all the submission, honorable members, you have something to say, Chair?
Thank you, Right Honorable. I'm not at all in disagreement. I only wanted to request you that to avoid these future issues to reoccur, especially on specific issues that would be handled. For example, Right Honorable Speaker, I have just listed a few. The ED to URA, to Civil Aviation, Uganda Airlines, KCCA, all these people and many more earn 60 million or 50.
Honorable, the minister has the veto powers. Now, and I want to advise you ministers, it should not only be works. It shouldn't be only works. It should be across board. Rapex, are we together? Honorable members, if you're not in favor of repeal, you say nay. Repeal. Huh? If you want the bill to collapse, you say nay. If you want us to continue to the next stage and we repeal, you say aye. Are we together? Honorable members, in whatever we are doing, let's help these ministers. Technical people are also stubborn. They underlook the political wing. So let's see how we can be able to help the ministers to solve some of these problems.
No, the technical people don't overlook. If you allow them, they will overlook.
Honorable members, I put a question that the Uganda National Roads Authority Repeal Bill 2024 be read the second time. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. I sympathize with you. Instead of waiting for the answer for the ruling, you continue. Honorable members, thank you for today. I know I have to give the ruling. I want to thank you so much. And on a very special note, I want to thank Honorable Medi Nsereko Alhaji for bringing in a very good advice. And that advice is going to help all the ministries. All the ministries. And I also want to ask the technical people not to undermine the political wing. They should not undermine the political wing. Honorable members, Honorable Kakunda. Honorable members, we have 2 reports for RAPEX left, which we should be able to finish tomorrow as we wait for the tax bills. I want to ask the chair to finish the tax bills so that this time round we take our time with the tax bills. We don't rush. We don't rush with the tax bills so that everybody knows what is passing. Will now the nays have it? Subject to bringing back the bill with amendments. I now adjourn the House to tomorrow at 2. At 2.